Welcome to the 5 Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an Everyman's Ale Trail. In this episode, I'll share my Beer Fest experiences, talk about the benefits of VIP access, rock out beer styles with Mark Osborne from Adroit Theory Brewing, and review Ossuary from Adroit Theory Brewing. In this segment of Tales from the Trail, beer fests are the topic of conversation. Though summer is typically the season for beer fests, you can actually find them all year long. Many of these beer fests will give you a commemorative taster glass, which is super convenient and also gives you a little something you can put on your shelf at home to remember the event. For the past several years, I've attended the Burning Foot Beer Fest on the shores of Lake Michigan with two of my absolute favorite beer bros, my brother and cousin. It's a great event that has food, music, and last year I believe it had over 80 breweries, mainly from Michigan. We've learned a lot on how to pace ourselves for this massive event. The entrance fee gets you 15 tastes, but you can always buy a few more. It is in late August and always a great time. Last summer, one of my other Ohio beer skis and I attended the Northwest Ohio Brewbarbecue at Forked Creek Brewery in Defiance, Ohio. It was a great event with over 25 Northwest Ohio only breweries, and one of the options was an all-you-can-eat barbecue buffet. It was a limited 12-taste event, but honestly, with all the food, I wouldn't have been able to drink much more than that. I can't wait to go again this summer. More recently, I've been attending the Frozen Firkin Fest at Two Toms Brewing in Fort Wayne, Indiana with my main Indiana beer ski. It's held in February, so you always have to dress accordingly. It's unique because most of the breweries there have a one-off beer, a firkin, that they bring. This is an unlimited tasting event, so you have to use some flight control in case your favorites are high ABV beers. Hoplore Brewing in Leesburg, Indiana hosts their Lord of the Hops event in April. I saw it advertised during 2020, but like most everything on the planet, it got canceled. I missed it last year, but got it on my calendar early this year. It was an unlimited tasting event that featured over 20 breweries who each had 3 to 5 beers available. I speak from experience. It was definitely one that would have been good to attend with a friend or two in order to manage the flight control. The entry fee for most of these events is anywhere from $30 to $50 for the base ticket, and then anywhere from $20 to $50 more to get some of the perks. Since most of these events I attend are within a reasonable driving distance, I've bought the base entry fee for the first year just to get a feel for whether or not it's worth the extra investment or not for subsequent years. I would check with your local Brewers Guild to see if they sponsor events or even have a mailing list you can subscribe to and see what is ahead. Some bucket list beer fests for me would include the following. The Michigan Brewers Guild sponsors spring, summer, fall, and winter beer fests in 4 different locations around Michigan. At some point, I really want to attend all of them in the same year. The Festival of Wood and Barrel-Aged Beer, FOBAB, in Chicago is one I would love to check out. One of my local independent brewer friends who barrel ages told me about it. It is a multi-day event in November, but would be one to remember. Over 180 breweries come together to compete for gold, silver, and bronze medals. And depending on the ticket level you purchase, tasting is included. The Great American Beer Fest, GABF, is probably the best-known festival in the U.S. It's held in Denver, Colorado in October. It's a multi-day event that hosts the largest collection of brewers in the country, all competing for the coveted gold, silver, and bronze medals in 97 different categories. So no matter what you do, be sure to take a friend or two along with you if possible. It's a great way to drink responsibly and always a lot more fun. This week's Hop Hack is about going behind the velvet rope at beer fests, the VIP experience. I've only done this a couple of times so far. Each time was unique, though a 1-hour early entrance to the festival is pretty common and might be the difference in getting a small batch one-off beer that will disappear very quickly. Burning Foot, for example, has a small buffet of food, air-conditioned restrooms, and a few unique beers they are pouring in their sandbox. I personally found it a little underwhelming for the price paid, but it was still fun to be part of the elite. Since there were some big breweries announced that would be in attendance, I got the VIP ticket for Lord of the Hops. It offered a VIP pack with commemorative glass and unlimited pours of VIP-only beers. Each of the breweries there had VIP-only beers during the first hour, which was pretty cool. It was definitely worth the money, as they had many unique and one-off bottles of everything from Three Floyd's Dark Lord to No Rules from Perrin to Dark Star from Fremont Brewing, and a whole lot more. If you're considering the VIP experience, I would highly recommend following the social media accounts of the host brewery or organizer of any beer fest you attend, just to see what to expect. It's always gratifying to pop on a VIP ticket to a beer fest and then find out that one of your favorite breweries will be in attendance, and you get a 1 hour head start on the masses. Well, now it's time for Barstool Banter. For this week's interview, I'm finishing up my conversation by riffing over beer styles with Mark Osborne, who is the owner of Adroit Theory Brewing in Purcellville, Virginia. So, Mark, welcome. Appreciate you being on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Clearly, you guys have the hazy double, triple IPA thing down pat. You guys have some really delicious doubles and triples. You know, for example, I'm drinking this Cosmic Oblivion, which is I think it's a 10.2% triple.
Oh, so that's one of our session beers, I see.
Is it? Nice, nice. You know, I usually crush those too.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's funny. I actually don't dislike them, but I rarely drink session beers. I don't mean like session beers, like sessionable beers. I mean like session IPAs, like 4% IPAs, because they're always like, they smell great. You're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fantastic. I can't wait. And then you drink it, and it's just like, poof, like just disappears in your mouth. You're like, where'd that IPA go? What happened? Let me take another sip. And it's the same thing. And it's like, oh. So I end up gravitating to 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%, 12%. You're like, oh no, my productivity is going down the drain. But I do like this. We started making oat cream, what we call oat cream IPAs. This is the newest one called, I guess we're not doing a video call, so I don't know why I'm holding them.
That's okay. You can hold it up so I can see it.
Classic rock.
Oh yeah, I think I just ordered that.
Dope. Yeah, it's pretty dope. 7.5%, which again, we very rarely make IPAs below that. Like, we don't have hazy, at least. Like, we make some West Coast, but like, we don't have like 5.5 to 6.5% IPA. I mean, I can't think of one we've made in the last 3 years. We put it like that. But that 7.5% to me is like sessionable, crushable. You could have 4 of them. Yeah, it'll start to creep up on you. Like, it's super flavorful, super rich, super silky, creamy, but not obnoxiously so. It's a style that I really like, and when we brew these, this is what I'm taking home with me for my evening drinking.
What kind of hops are you using in the Classic Rock?
Honestly, I would have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it's El Dorado Citra Galaxy.
I think the Cosmic Oblivion, was El Dorado and either Azacca or Citra, maybe. This one has just such a great like nectarine, tangerine kind of profile on the nose. I love that kind of that big citrus aroma. And then of course you add the lactose, give you that nice thick kind of pillowy soft mouthfeel, which also just makes me want to dive into more of it. So you talk about the 7-8% IPAs that are sessionable. You give me a good one. Even some of yours that have been up there in the 10-11%. You have a couple and it's like, ooh, that was a little bit bigger than what I thought it was. It sure drank more like a 6 or 7% IPA. And next thing you know, you're falling asleep in the chair watching TV.
We're very good at hiding alcohol. I mean, it doesn't matter what beer it is. Even our stouts, they're scary how drinkable they are. That carrion, that all I see is carrion beer. It's 12%. It's every bit of 12%. And you will feel that beer, but while you're drinking it, man, you cannot pick up on those, those alcoholic notes, those fusel notes that are so much, so oftentimes in those big ABV beers, it's delicious, but it also has that alcoholic bite to it. But we definitely try to figure out a way to balance it, or add a certain degree of sweetness to it to counterbalance that perceived alcoholic quality. So they will definitely creep up on you. We have something we call the Adroit Theory effect at the tap room, where people come in and you can see it on their face, right? And then all of a sudden, ooh, that one crept up on me, and their eyes glaze over. It's really funny.
Some of the my favorites that you all have put out recently are some of your Russian Imperials. Every time Dia de los Muertos comes out, I have to get a can of it or two, because it's so delicious. It's probably one of my favorite Russian Imperial stouts. Just has such a great flavor profile. And of course, I'm one of those that love to sit around on a cold winter day here in the Midwest, pour out a big Russian Imperial, let it warm up a little bit, and just kind of see how that flavor changes over the next hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, well, thank you for that. Temperature absolutely plays a huge role, much bigger role than people account for. I mean, they think they know, cold versus, maybe, slightly less cold. A stout, man, like, if it's not the right temperature, dude, you are doing yourself a disservice. And I mean, we like them borderline room temperature,
Indeed.
62 degrees. which, most people are like, "Ooh, it's not cold," like, let's throw that in the freezer for 5 minutes. I'm like, no, don't do that. But yeah, no, Dia is as close to a perfect beer, I think, as we have made. You'll be happy to know that's actually one of the 4 cores that we're rolling out that we'll actually start to make on an ongoing basis versus one-time basis. So like
Great.
Dia, we'd brew it from time to time, right? And put it out and sell out. And it's just like, this is ridiculous. Why do we keep doing this? Let's just make it and have it and be able to doctor it up the way we want from time to time. So yeah, starting March, I think it's March 9th, I think. Like we plan to, and again, best laid plans, but like, we're gonna have that beer at the tasting room from that point forward. Or if we do sell out, oh hey, the next batch is coming out next week, type of deal. Versus, well, we'll get to that in a year or so.
Yeah, when I was at your tap room in October, that was when you had released Demons Surround Me, and those little nice slimline 12-ounce cans. And I thought, man, I'm getting gypped with this. But then I look at the ABV and it's like 17%. I pour out this motor oil into my glass, and like 2 hours later, I'm still working on the damn thing. It's so delicious. If I just had crushed it without even letting it warm up at all, I would have missed all the nuances of the beer. And I think that's, like you said, that's one thing that folks miss out on with some of those bigger beers. We're not out to like, get toasted. We're out to like figure out what flavor profiles we have. What kind of things can you bring out using, the malts and the grains. And I mean, I think that's the fun part, or the adjuncts even. One of the other ones that a good buddy and I like to drink is your 200. And that beer is so complex. It's got the cacao, the coconut, the pretzels, the peanut butter, and I think one other thing, maple syrup. Crazy, crazy beer, but delicious. And if I had just, quaffed it right away, I'd be like, this isn't really that great. But you let it warm up, and now all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I'm getting some interesting notes in here.
You just go to a restaurant and you watch somebody eat, and they're like wolfing down their food, and you're just like, Jesus, man, like, but you savor it for a minute, you know what I mean? You'll probably enjoy it just a 10. And beer is the same way. I think it should be savored, particularly stouts. I mean, we really try to make interesting beers. That Demons that you mentioned, Confessions, is another beer we make, very similar, but I mean, they are complex. I mean, I would put them in the same category of port, or fine wine, aged wine, where like it really is like layer upon layer upon layer. Yeah, peel it back as it warms up, and your palate changes as it adjusts to the beer. But yeah, and then on the pastry side of things, which I hate that word, and I mostly dislike pastry style things. We do make beers like that, but I always try to make them interesting, not just like, I've had so many from other places where like it just feels like they went and they bought in a banana float ice cream sundae, threw it in a blender, and like pop, there you go. Like you're just drinking sugar, right? And it tastes like what they say it tastes like, but like it's like, ugh. I try to make a beer that has all these qualities in it. That's not just sweet. Now a lot of times they're sweet because you have added stuff to them, but like it's not just drinking sugar. It's layered in a way that is, more interesting than just drinking an ice cream float.
Yeah, I know that there was a big push, for the kind of the whole smoothie, slushy kind of, sweet fruity beers. I don't mind them. It's not something I seek out. I mean, I'd rather seek out, something like a good Goza or a nice, Berliner Weiss that's got just such a great tart sweetness to it. Your Illusion series. When we were there, we're fortunate enough to have some tasters of some of the Illusion stuff, and that's some good beer too. It's got great fruit flavor, thick, rich. I don't know. I think you guys use real fruit puree in your beer as well.
Considerable amount of real fruit.
Yeah.
Frozen fruit we don't do, which is why they're they're not even remotely stable products, right? They're very unstable.
Right.
We're not buying processed puree. It's just straight frozen fruit. But we try to make those interesting too. It's funny, the base beer, it's a Goza, which we very rarely put on draft, right? Because kind of defeats the purpose. The solid beer is a solid base. It's a 2-style Goza that we, morph into something that's unrecognizable, but delicious, So people do like those types of beers, and I like them too. Mm-hmm. It's funny, we mostly made those types of beers where it's 4 or 5 different types of fruit and vanilla and chocolate and this, that, and the other thing, strictly from a cocktail perspective. Like I made them that's how I thought of them. These are beers you can buy. Yeah, I suppose you could drink it if you wanted to, but really, I made it so you could take it home, break out the champagne, break out the Prosecco, you know what I mean? pour it in a glass, and put like 2 ounces of the beer on top of it. And there you go. Like that's how I designed it. That's how I
Okay.
made it. But it just people started to like it. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You can drink that. You can drink that cocktail mixer. But that's the way I look at them. They're cocktail mixers. They're just missing the rest of the ingredients.
Well, I like to hear that you're passionate about adding real ingredients because I know that for me, if I've had a beer and it'll advertise whatever in it, raspberry, cherry, whatever, you can tell if it's artificial flavoring or if it's real flavoring. You can really tell the difference in that. So kudos, to doing that because I think that makes a huge difference in the flavor of the beer and in the quality of the beer too.
I appreciate it. We spend a lot of money on adjuncts. Now, I will tell you, we also do use extract. I'm not going to say we don't
Sure.
use extracts. We don't use any, artificial sweeteners and things like that. But we do try to minimize that. There's a lot of popular Starbucks coffee type drinks that are available in the market, and it's just always like, ugh, it just doesn't taste real. So we try to avoid that at all costs. But there are some flavors that are very problematic in beer. So those specific flavors will always try to seek out an extract, but it's always a natural extract versus just chemically manufactured flavor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Those, when we've experimented with those, and they just always, to me, are so off-putting. You know what I mean? I'd much rather buy coffee beans and cold steep my beer on my coffee beans. You know what I mean? And do it that way than buy some coffee flavoring.
Yeah, I like that. Is there a beer style that you haven't done that you still want to do at some point?
I would love to make a wit, like a Belgian style wit, because I love that style. Problem is there's a brewery about an hour away that makes, well, I mean, they probably think it's the first, but they make the second best one in the United States, in my opinion, an hour away. So, hasn't been real high on the to-do list.
Okay.
But it's a beer that I enjoy quite a bit. I mean, I love Allagash White. I'll have that pretty much anywhere. I'll go anything. Oh, yeah, Allagash, yes, I'll take that, please. Thank you. We have never brewed like a true sour because it's not what we do. That's not what we're set up to do. And then, but one day I would love to actually, make, have like a cool ship, do something really exciting like that. It's just, we're just not set up to do that at all. We've accidentally made some sours. I will tell you that. But that was not purposeful. That was just, like, crap.
Happy accidents is what I call those.
Yeah. And then more traditional, like two style beers. So like, this is going to sound crazy. We had never made a Pilsner ever until like 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago, maybe like 20 months ago. And, that's a classic style of beer and it's delicious. And I think we've done it 7 or 8 times. And I think we've really dialed it in. I think it's actually a really nice beer at this stage. But like I envision making, more beers in that vein in the German catalog of classic beers that, like, again, we've never made. We've made, how many Doppelbocks we've made in our life? We've made one Keller beer or something like that, 0. Like, we just haven't had time and energy to do those types of things. But we would, I think, moving forward, I think we'll start making more of those. So like, for instance, the Pilsner that I mentioned is actually now one of the core beers that we're now making, which again, most breweries start with that, right? Like that's day one. Yep, got our Pilsner. But like we're adding it here at year 8. But making light, delicate 2-style beers that you can crush while you're sampling the rest of our beers, that's what we're interested in.
And I think that those type of beers are some that I think the U.S. market in particular, I think mainstream market of craft, I think misses out on because everybody's so head over heels for the crazy beers. Like I said, the smoothies, the big IPAs, the huge stouts. I mean, there's nothing better than having, like you said, a nice delicate Kolsch in the evening. I mean, there's nothing better than it. Just that nice, simple sweetness with a little bit of biscuity, aroma to it. It's just.
Yeah, I think you're also seeing a lot of hyped breweries, repositioning themselves and transitioning, like, oh shit, I can't just make hazy IPAs every 12 days. I got to expand my portfolio and have solid beers. So like, and then there's breweries that's all they do, like Schilling, dialed in, Human Robot in Philadelphia. I mean, I went there and visited a couple months back and I was just like, I didn't want to leave. I'm like, yes, I would like to take that. Yes, I would like to try that. Yes. And, all these just classic Eastern European style beers. And they were just phenomenal. And I think the highest beer on the menu was like 5.1%, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was hysterical. I was like, I think the lowest beer we have on the menu right now is like 6.5. So, just the opposite direction, but like, it was so enjoyable. I must have had 6 beers while I was there, like 6 full beers.
Yeah.
He'd be carrying me out of Adroit if that was the case.
Yeah, that's one of the things like for me this year, I've definitely gravitated more towards a little bit more of the sour saison kind of funky beers to have flights of beer. Just because I like to get a good idea of what a brewery's offering from, the lighter side all the way to the dark side. And, if you have 5 or 6 hazies in a row, your palate's crushed to begin with. But, if they get into the high ABV, then you're like, well, I can't have anything more because I'm done.
I am in agreement. Saison, I love saison, particularly like wild fermented saisons.
Yes, I think it's an underrated style.
Oh, Americans, people are doing like Oxbow, for instance, makes beautiful saisons. Allagash does too. I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful saisons. So it's a style like we make a nice one, but it's very Americanized. You know what I mean? It's a little hoppier than the classic one. And again, we're not really mess around with mixed cultures, at least on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, in the hills of Virginia there, I mean, you'd probably be able to pick up some good wild yeast
there's
bacteria.
There are a lot of vineyards around where we're located, and there's a lot of stuff floating around, I'm sure, in the atmosphere. It'd be pretty easy. But again, yeah, I love those types of beers. And I'm always appreciative when somebody else is going to the effort of making them for me.
Yeah, indeed. Is there anything out there that you have never had that you want to have at some point as far as a beer goes? Whether it's because you're in Virginia and it's on the West Coast, or because it's in Germany or Belgium, or
I will tell you, being in the beer industry there are some cool parts to it, and I definitely love the creative side of it. And I love making something that you get to actually look at someone in the face while they're drinking your beer and they're happy, and you're like, yes. But one of the downsides is it kind of ruins you, because you go all these events, or you travel and you get to taste all these things, and then like I can't even tell you how much like people from other breweries come to visit and they drop a bunch of stuff off, and it's almost overwhelming, and there's very little surprises left at this stage. Like, when I go somewhere and I go to a festival and I get a beer and it surprises me, I always love it, and I appreciated that. It's becoming rarer and rarer, and I don't mean, oh, because my beer is so awesome. I'm not talking about that at all. What I'm just saying is that if I've had a lot of beer and a lot of it starts to taste the same, and then you have something and you're just like, whoa, wait, stop the presses. Wait, what is this? And then you're excited because it's something new, or a new flavor profile you haven't tasted before, or maybe a new process. So at the end of the day, I'm also a consumer, right? So like I watch, so like when Firestone Walker, drops something really exotic. Mental note, check box. Yep, seek that out. I had some of their anniversary beers from about 4 or 5 years ago, a couple of nights ago, and that was one of those things where it's like, yes, like, this is awesome. Like, I am into this. I am so excited about this, and you savor it for 2 hours, right? Because it's so enjoyable. But unfortunately, those are sometimes few and far between. Nothing on my radar just yet that I haven't been able to magically get it to show up at my doorstep.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Dark Lord. So I live about 3 hours from Three Floyds. They just recently had their Dark Lord release, and I was like, man, I really would love to go, but it just timing didn't fit it. So that's one of those beers for me that I really want to try it. I'm hoping at some point to be able to get it on release day. So
there is a White Castle, as I recall, right on the corner of the street that the brewery's located on. And I must say, they probably do a ton of business that weekend. My brewer, he's been a Dark Lord numerous times. Like, he was definitely, when he was a little bit younger, he'd go there every year. He's got all the variants and all the, but it's a good time. Like, it's basically a heavy metal concert and a bottle share all wrapped into one. And so that's cool. I like Three Floyds. It's funny, they didn't distribute they distributed in Virginia like 20 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, and then they pulled out because they were so popular, and they just came back, I got 6 months ago, maybe. And it's just so funny. I was at not a gourmet grocery store, just like the regular everyday grocery store. And there was zombie dust. They had like an end cap of it. And I was like, holy shit. Zombie dust, sweet. There it is, right there. $6.99, sweet.
Yeah, so I'm in the far northwest corner of Ohio, so I know Three Floyds just started distributing last fall to Michigan, and people were just going crazy for it. My cousin was just like, oh yeah, they got zombie dust, they've got Robert the Bruce, they've got such and such on tap, and yeah, everybody goes crazy for that.
So I remember my first time I ever went to Michigan. This is, I mean, 10 years ago. And this was probably at the height of like the hop slam craze.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened, I completely unrelated, happened to be there, in February. And I remember we stopped because we were driving, we stopped to get gas. And I went into the gas station to pay. And holy shit, there was like cases of hop slam like stacked in the ceiling with this gas station. I was like, what the? Like I'm running out. I'm like, honey, wreck the car up. Like, like pop the trunk. Well, like 6 cases, throw them in the car. So that was a very exciting day in the state of Michigan, finding at a gas station. But I will tell you, true story. I was at Costco over the weekend, and lo and behold, going down the aisle, holy crap, they had Hop Slam. I was like, get out of here. And so I bought a 4-pack for myself. It came in a cardboard box, which I'd never seen, which I was very excited about. And they were branded cans, wasn't the bottles. It was like $10.99. I mean, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? I was like, so I bought it and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's good stuff.
It's just funny how ubiquitous craft beer has become.
One other question for you. If you were a beer, what style would you be and why?
That's a very good question. I would be a Flanders Red. It's not even a style of beer that I particularly care for. I will tell you, surprisingly, paired with fettuccine Alfredo of all things. Mind-blowing. Anyway, but I would do that because it's an obscure beer, particularly here in America, right? I mean, there's beer nerds that are into it, but like general public, not so much. So it's niche. It's awesome looking, but it's extremely odd. Like it's an odd beer to the average customer. It's not a flavor profile that most people would gravitate towards, self-selecting the people that are going to like that. Now, people in Belgium, that's a different story, right? They love that shit. A lot of people like it, very common. But here in America, like it would be off-putting, but they'd be curious because it looks awesome. It sounds exotic. It tastes exotic, but it's not for everybody. That's what I would be, because that is what I tried to do with Adroit Theory. I tried to make something that it's not for everybody. And again, I make some beers that everybody will like, or at least everybody that drinks beer would like. But that's not who we are. What we do is very specific to a very specific customer who is into what we're doing as a whole. That's what I'd go with.
I think that's definitely a good description of what you do there at Adroit.
We try to make our beers so that when you're walking down the aisle of beer and there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of cans of beer where it all looks the same until you get to the Adroit section and you're like, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this right here? Boom, this looks different because it is different, because we conceptualized it to be different. You don't have to like it. Yeah. We hope you like it, but if you don't like it, that's fine too. We're perfectly content with that. Consume life, drink art.
I really appreciate you spending time, man.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, one more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking Ossuary from Adroit Theory Brewing in Purcellville, Virginia. This is a Russian Imperial Stout clocking in at 12% ABV. So the can on this is pretty sweet. This is a Ghost 1174. It's very cool. It's got a very death metal kind of vibe to it. The tasting notes say this. Ossuary is a bold, roasty stout full of rich notes of toffee and freshly roasted coffee from start to finish. Full-bodied, jet black in color, with modest bitterness and alcoholic warmth on the finish. Without further delay, well, for those that know me, I believe that stouts are a year-long drinking beer. I know there are a lot of folks that think they're just a cold weather, but I drink Russian Imperials and other stouts year-round. So upon pouring this one out, it's definitely jet black. There is no way whatsoever to see through this beer. It has just a real fine caramel-colored foam on the top. The tasting notes said that it had notes of toffee and coffee. Definitely getting a little bit of that roastiness on the nose, which I so love with the Russian Imperial Stout. First taste impression, definitely a solid Russian Imperial. For all of the IPAs, the DIPAs, the TIPAs, the quads that Adroit puts out, I will say that the Russian Imperial Stouts are some of the best I've ever had. A great flavor, solid. So they have several other ones that I'm a real big fan of. They've got one called 200. Coven, Cannibalism. Dia de los Muertos, probably my favorite, which is now one of their core beers. Just amazing. Say this again from the first taste impression. It's got a soft feel on the first part of the taste. It's definitely got a lot of character. I definitely get some of the coffee. Not getting as much of the toffee yet, but I'm sure that'll come later. And it's really smooth. It does have, I will say, a coffee-like bitterness to it. So I'm a big fan of dark brewed coffee, and so it definitely has that kind of a bitter finish on it. One of the things that I'll reiterate: the higher the ABV, the darker the beer. These beers need to sit a little bit. They need to warm up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to come back in 10 or 15 minutes and just see what happens with this beer. Okay, so I'm returning to this after about 15 minutes. The roasty coffee notes on the nose have now become a lot more pronounced. So what had been very subtle before now is very prominent. I'm going to go ahead and take another sip of this beer. Definitely getting some of that toffee, getting the dark roast coffee, and then at the end, now I'm getting that warming kind of booziness that just kind of travels slowly down your throat and into your belly. Oh, that is so good, so smooth. So I'm not going to bore you by having you sit with me for the next hour as I try to enjoy this BFB, but I just want to reiterate the fact that Adroit makes some amazing Russian Imperial Stouts. So if you have a chance to ever try any of them, I'd give them a shot because they are pretty doggone amazing. And I would give this one a very strong 4 tasters out of 5 on the flightboard. This is a BFB, a big freaking beer. Cheers, Adroit. Rock on, man. Well, if you've got a beer you'd like me to drink and describe, leave a comment below. If you're a brewer and have one in mind, direct message me on Instagram and let's see what we can do. Well, that's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time when I talk about infusing beer at home, share another hop hack, and chat with Zach White from Chapman's Brewing. Remember to hit the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so please follow me on Instagram, 5 Beer Plan 2022, and leave a comment to let me know what your favorite beer fest is. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail and stay thirsty, my friends.